Hi, I'm Sarah from Amazing If, and welcome to this week's bonus episode where I'm going to be sharing 3 common mistakes that get in the way of building our confidence. So, mistake number 1, unrealistic standards. Really, this is all about we have different standards that we apply to ourselves versus those that we apply to other people. What I would really encourage you to do is to try and put yourself in other people's shoes and think about what advice you would give to someone who is in the same situation as you. So let's just talk about what I mean by that. If you're somebody who maybe worries that they're not good at presenting, or you're worried you're not smart enough, you have a fear that you're going to be found out, all really kind of common confidence gremlins, imagine somebody was coming to talk to you about that. One of your friends, somebody you work with, maybe somebody who works for you, and they were having a conversation with you to ask you for advice on, I've got a fear of being found out, what would you advise, what would you do about that? Think about what advice you would give that person, because usually you do know the answers. It's just that then the advice you give to somebody else is then not what you do for yourself. So put yourself in someone else's shoes and almost kind of, I suppose, hold a mirror up to the confidence gremlins that you're experiencing and just try and think about, what is it that's actually realistic for me to do? What standards can I set to improve? Because of course we all want to improve and develop, but just make sure that you're not holding yourself up to a really unrealistic nirvana of trying to be absolutely brilliant and fully confident at everything all of the time, because it's not what you would expect of somebody else. So don't necessarily expect that of yourself. So that's the first mistake. Mistake number 2, being a bit of a one-hit wonder. So this is something that I think is quite common when we think about confidence and confidence gremlins. Sometimes you might try a new activity out, you might try a new action to build your confidence, but you do it as a bit of a one-off activity and you don't commit to taking a series of small steps. And really, it's the small steps and continuing to work on your confidence over a longer period of time that will really make the difference. So yes, you can give yourself a bit of a confidence boost and maybe get a bit better at presenting on a particular day or for a particular meeting. But to really build underlying kind of strong foundation of confidence that will stay with you for the rest of your career, you really need to kind of take a work in progress attitude and adopt a growth mindset to overcoming your confidence gremlins. Don't associate your confidence gremlins with something that will just at some point necessarily disappear. There's no end goal and there's no point here that you're aiming for when you'll be done or complete, which sometimes feels a bit counterintuitive. But actually what you'll find is that by taking lots of small steps, you just become more and more confident over time. But it's really easy, like any habit that you're trying to develop, to let that thing slip. So make sure you commit to it. Keep holding yourself to account. And, of course, we all have the occasional small slip. If you've not worked on something for a while, or you can feel yourself retreating back into old behaviours or the safety of doing things in the way that you've done them previously, actually just being conscious about that then means that you're much more likely to do something about it. So the second mistake, don't be a one-hit wonder. And final mistake, keeping your confidence gremlins hidden. So lots of people don't necessarily know what everybody's confidence gremlins are. It's not something we go around talking about. And actually, it takes quite a lot of bravery and courage to be able to share your confidence gremlins. But if you don't share them with other people, they can't help you. And actually, you might think your confidence gremlins are really obvious, but you'd be really surprised. People often don't know what these things are that you're grappling with. Actually, somebody very recently told me a story where they'd bought our book, very kindly bought our book, and they'd kept it at work. And her manager had walked past and said to her, oh, what's the book? And made a comment to say, surely you don't have any confidence gremlins, because clearly he thought that she was very confident and that it wasn't something she suffered from. And she said, of course I've got them, and sort of mentioned a few within the book. And he said he was really surprised because it's just not something that he'd seen in her. So this is not about exposing ourselves and sort of saying, well, did you know there's all these things that are holding me back or getting in my way? It's much more about acknowledging that there are people who can really help you continually develop, a bit like we talked about in terms of not being a one-hit wonder, but they can only do that if you kind of let people help you. So, think about who you trust, think about your mentors, think about your support network, and talk about your gremlins to those people and ask for advice, ask for hints and tips on how you might address them. Because don't forget, everybody's gremlins are slightly different. So if I'm going to try and work on one of my gremlins, I might ask Helen for her advice because her gremlins are different to mine. So she can see another point of view and she can see another perspective. So that's 3 common mistakes that we've shared so that hopefully you can avoid them. 1, don't set unrealistic standards. 2, don't be a one-hit wonder. And 3, don't keep your confidence gremlins hidden. So that's it for this week. You can join us on Monday for our next full episode on how to overcome your confidence gremlins. Thanks again for listening. Goodbye.